A man goes on holiday to the Holy Land with his wife and mother-in-law. Whilst there, the mother-in-law dies. They go to an undertaker who explains that they can ship the body home, but that it'll cost over £5,000, whereas they can bury her in the Holy Land for only £150. The man says, "We'll ship her home." The undertaker asks, "Are you sure? That's an awfully big expense, and we can do a very nice burial here." The man says, "Look, 2,000 years ago they buried a guy here, and 3 days later he rose again. I just can't take the chance." No offence intended to mother-in-laws. But the best news the world has ever heard came from a cemetery near Jerusalem. The tomb was empty. And that news has been broadcast for nearly 2 millennium in nations all across the globe. He is risen. Jesus is alive. Death is dead. This is the resurrection day. When we lose a loved one, we grieve and mourn. We hate the pain death brings, but Jesus hates it more. That's why he killed it. On Good Friday, we saw Jesus upon the cross, breathing his apparent final breath. This Easter Sunday, we rejoice because his death was not the end of the story. His death was just the beginning of abundant life. The best news is Jesus' resurrection day can be our resurrection day. Now, death, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, is the end of the life of a person or organism. That seems very final to me. But an empty tomb and folded grave clothes revolutionise the definition of death. Herman Melville, in his book Moby Dick, writes this: "Because of Easter, our coffins are nothing but canoes bearing us across the Jordan River to fairer worlds on high." Death has lost its sting, because bursting forth in glorious day, up from the grave, Jesus rose again. Over this past year, we have been confronted with daily COVID death rates. We've been confronted with losing loved ones. We've been confronted with the vulnerability of life. Tears have fallen and loss has surrounded us. But, and the most significant but for all of humanity, it's not over with the final breath or the last beat of the heart. It's only just beginning. Our traditional Easter plans, whatever they may have been, have not become reality once again. In fact, so very many plans have not been realised this year. But that very first Easter Sunday, all plans and preparations were turned on their head. The only plan for that first resurrection day was for the woman to go and anoint Jesus' body. Well, Jesus well and truly thwarted those plans. His body wasn't there to anoint. He was walking and talking. He was alive. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Sometimes we can recite those words of John 3:16 so easily that we don't really allow them to sink in. But it is a life-transforming, earth-shattering revolution that declares that when our earthly days are done, there is so much more to come because of that very first resurrection day. Today, we turn our minds to an empty tomb and the promise of eternity, but also to the beauty of life today. The Americans have a phrase, death in life, defined as a life that lacks any satisfaction or purpose. I would suggest it is one of life's greatest tragedies, to exist but not to truly live. With improving health, sanitation and food provision, life expectancies continue to rise. But is life merely our existence on earth with a beating heart and air in our lungs? John 10 verse 10 reads, "A thief is only there to steal and kill and destroy. I came so they can have real and eternal life, more and better life than they ever dreamed of. Rich, satisfying, abundant life." That's what the mission of Jesus was all about. And because of the empty cross and the empty tomb, resurrection life is both a present reality and a future hope. The life that Jesus came to bring is not about prosperity, about getting what we want all the time. It's not about simplicity, about never having any challenges. It's about finding fulfillment in the life that God has called us to, ever aware of the hope that comes from Him. It's about bringing life back to the areas of our existence which appear to be dead and buried. Perhaps a broken relationship, a long-term health concern, a financial worry, an addiction, past abuse, unforgiven sin, regrets, secret behaviour, a sense of failure. These things no longer have to keep us in the grave. We no longer have to let them have the final word. On this resurrection day, we too can have our own resurrection day. We know that it is rare for sickness, relationship difficulties and financial worries to be instantly over. But they no longer have to keep us down, no longer have the power to speak death into our lives, no longer have the power to block out the light. Rend Collective sing these words: "Because you're risen, I can rise. Because you're living, I'm alive. Because your cross is powerful. Because you rose invincible, I can get up off the floor. This is my resurrection day. Nothing's going to hold me in the grave." In the midst of our troubles, Jesus wants to bring life. He wants to bring hope. Now is not forever. Crucifixion was meant to put a full stop to Jesus. All it did was press pause before releasing the full power of Jesus into the world and into our lives. And all of us can claim that resurrection power in our lives. We read in Deuteronomy 30 verse 19, "This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live." Jesus is alive, so that you can truly live. Jesus didn't rise from the dead just to prove his power. Jesus didn't rise just to make his loved ones happy again. Jesus didn't even rise just to give us life after death. Jesus rose to give life to our earthly lives. N.T. Wright shares these words: "Jesus' resurrection is the beginning of God's new project, not to snatch people away from earth to heaven, but to colonize earth with the life of heaven." The Easter season brings much joy to the world, As daffodils bloom, lambs are born and chocolate eggs remind us of new life. We see the beauty of life. The beauty of life which God created us for and created for us. And today, on this resurrection day, we do not just have to wait for the day when we breathe our last to experience the power of the empty cross and the empty grave. I pray that this day you will know the joy of heaven on earth. I pray that you will know the fullness of God's love in all the challenges you face. I pray that you will know new life, new hope, and new peace this resurrection day. God bless you.